Hey Team Electronics and Coding, so this is an introduction to the while loop. Two of the graphics on this page should be very familiar to you. We have an if statement all the way to the right, and you know that an if statement is structured like so. So you have if, and then you have parentheses, and then you have some sort of condition within those parentheses, and then you have curly braces. And inside those curly braces is a code block. And if the condition is evaluated to be true, then we do the statement within the code block. So maybe this graphic should contain little curly braces. These are awful curly braces. And if the if statement is evaluated to be false, not to be true, we just go right around the code block and we go to whatever the next line of code is. Okay, so pretty simple. You all understand how if statements work. The for loop is a little bit more complicated. You know that the for loop takes 3 arguments. The first is the initial value of some variable. The next argument is the condition. The next argument is the increment. So, and then there's a code block. So you all know that first we initialize, we take on the initial value of whatever we've stated within our for loop. We evaluate, is the condition true, given our initial value. If it's true, we execute the code block and then we increment, that's this update piece, and then we go back to our condition and we reevaluate if it's true or not. If it is no longer true, we exit the for loop. And if it is true, we do the statement again, we increment again, and then we reevaluate the condition. We only exit the for loop when the condition is no longer true. Okay, the while loop is kind of a mashup of, I would say, of the if statement and the for loop, or maybe not quite. It's its own thing. Okay, so the while loop very similarly contains a condition, and this is all lowercase, by the way. So there's a condition, and then curly braces, and a code block. And what happens is we evaluate to see if the condition is true. And if it's not true, we go around the code block, just like the if statement here. So is the condition false? Right around. However, if the condition is true, we do the statement. But then there's no updating. We check again, is the condition true? And then if it's true, we do the statement again. And then we check again, if it's true, and we do it again. We only exit the while loop when the condition is no longer true. It's pretty important to know that when you construct a while loop, you need to have something that updates your condition within the statement of the code block in order to get out of it, because the only way you're going to exit the while loop is if the condition is no longer true. Okay, so these different coding structures all have different benefits and drawbacks. And when you think about the type of project that you are constructing, you want to think about what kind of structure you want to create. So for example, if you have a project that you're designing and you want to press a button and have something happen once, then the if statement is probably for you, because it will do the statement and then it will continue on to the next line of code. If you want something to happen when you press a button a certain number of times, then the for loop is probably the coding structure for you in that instance. And if you want something to happen as long as you are pressing the button or while you are pressing the button, then a while loop is probably the structure that you want to create in your code. So These are all super useful structures to understand. And when you're setting up a project, you want to think about which do I want to use and why. Our next sketch, we'll be looking at a pentatonic piano. So this is going to be 5 buttons and 5 piezos. And we're going to use a while loop to play a tone on each piezo while a button is being pressed. That is all for today. See you all in class on Monday.